Hi guys, Dogger here with a new video. In this video, we're going to talk about different aspects concerning CR, MMR, and how people are judged towards that, and how hypocritical it is just in general. I'm not talking like about, I would say, all the players. I think there is, of course, some judging that has to be made to evaluate the strength between a player and another. But in general, I feel like World of Warcraft is very limited in how you can actually compare two players and see how they perform just in general, except with CR MMR. But I'm going to talk to you about like a analogy from another game, League of Legends, which is also a game that I really love. And I'm going to talk about World of Warcraft just in general and how they could improve that aspect to maybe have more of a fair playing field and how you can actually see your progress throughout the years. But let's give you a bit of an update, right? I love World of Warcraft. I love everything about PvP. I love retail. I love classic. I love Wrath. I love Cataclysm. I love every single expansion except Legion and BFA, which I didn't feel like it's very fun to not have like gear that you can purchase. But that's my opinion. That's why in Shadowlands, whenever it came out, like that you could buy gear, like PvP gear from a vendor, I was very ecstatic. It was very fun. And then with Dragonflight, it became even better because it's even less grind for more fun in general, right? But World of Warcraft. How do you judge the skillfulness of a player in general? If you're looking at Check PvP or if you're looking at any website, like for example Trustfall or whatever, how do you judge a player? I'm giving you a bit of time. It's not really hard, right? It's CR or MMR. So they're going to look at your MMR. They're going to say, oh, you're a 2K player. Oh, you're a 2.1K player. Oh, you're a 2.4K player. Oh, you are a Glad player. Or you are a rank 1 player. Or you are a 1.6K player. Etc. etc. They're not really looking at win rate. Like you could look at win rate, but let's be honest, if you're 2100 and you have like negative win rate, who cares? You're 2100, right? Although we both know that if you have a negative win rate at 2100, it means that you have a crazy MMR from the start. You never started at 1.3k, right? You never started at 1.5k. You probably won a few rounds, especially in solo shuffle. You won a few rounds. Your MMR kind of stayed the same, although you lost some matches. It stays around 2k, 2.1k, and you got like a big head start. It is what it is. Like that's why if you create a very new tune right now as a healer and you would do a 3-3, your MMR would be starting at 1.3k. If you're doing a 3-3 versus someone that is 1.6k, bizarrely, but it is just how it is these days, right? And that is really a sad factor to take into account, I would say, if you are judging a player purely about like numbers like MMR and CR, which is again a subjective number, let's be honest, because you have inflation, you have deflation. If you are like 2.4k at the start of the season, it is not the same as 2.4k at the end of the season, right? You are 1.6k at the start of the season, it is not the same as 1.6k at the end of the season. And the same can be said for 2k, can be said for every single thing, except I guess rank 1, which I think you still have to climb and like grind throughout the end of the end of the season to actually achieve that goal. But people judge you, let's be honest, like in general, right? They are judging you if you never really got Glad, or you never really got rank 1, or you never got duelist, or you never got rival, whatever people are using against you somehow, some way. How many times someone actually told in Soul Shuffle that you were a, I would say, rival player or a combatant player or challenger? Like someone disses you with that. I have friends that got dissed because it never reached rival, right? Which I think it's silly to diss people on rank, but whatever. So they dissed that guy for not being rival. It is what it is. Some people cannot climb, some people can climb. But it's weird how you're judged into ranks, like for example comparing yourself with an elite player or a Glad player or a rank 1. You do realize if you're like comparing yourself with those players, you're comparing to people that are massively like not fortunate, but they are like rare, right? It's normally top 1%, even lower than that. It's 0.1%, right? If you're a rank 1. So it's weird how this is the metric of someone being good or bad. That's my opinion. I think someone can be good being a duelist player or a rival player, right? Like anyone. I could tell some people are like quite good even though they're rival players. I can tell that. I can tell that they're using their macros. I can tell that they play, I think, very well for how they play, but they miss like a few things. In Soul Shuffle, it really comes to flourish, and if you are actually like doing chain wins, if you're like 4-6 every single lobby, like four out of the 6 lobbies, like rounds 1 you climb, and you're getting all those lobbies like in a row, you're going to climb very fast. But if you're doing a 4-2 and then a 2-4 and then a 4-2 and then a 4-2-4, you're going to stagnate, and that's the point where a lot of people are staying right now. But whatever. People are judging you for the rank or the MMR, which I think is kind of bollocks, because how can you say that you are a rival player? How can you say that some player is a duelist player? How can you say that someone is a glad player, right? How can you define what is a glad player? What is the common denominator of different glad players, right? I'm going to show you another screen right now, because now you see my character. It's whatever. I'm going to show you my check PvP on this character, the full buster frost mage. So you would say that I have quite low CR MMR. I think MMR is a bit higher than the CR, but whatever. The CR is quite low, right? This is low. This is generally just low, like 1400 in 2s. I only did like 31 rounds. I did arcane, 32 wins, 25 losses. As a frost mage, I have like around 1700 and still 64 wins, 38 losses. So it's a substantial win rate. It's 63%. So if I would just still play the spec that I was playing in the start of the season, I would be climbing. If I just stick to the plan of getting like 60% win rate. So I stopped playing since a few, I would say, weeks already for Frost Mage. Like, it has been a while. Like, I think the first time I played since then was a BG game that I did post on the channel. I think judging someone on purely this number is dumb, because how can you know that someone actually is lucky being like higher? How can you know if he got carried because of their past MMR? How do you know if he got like great lobbies or if he got bad lobbies? How do you know how much damage he deals in the game? How do you know if he does great CC? How do you know if he's a clicker? How do you know if he's just a backpedaler? How do you know he is doing the right things? How do you know if that guy is truly a 1600 player or a 1800 player or a 2k player or 2.1k player? Do you understand the reasoning? I'm not saying that right now as a Frost Mage I am 2.1 player, 2.1k player. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, how can you judge someone, just anyone? How can you judge someone based on a number, purely a number on check PvP? There is no indication of a power level of that spec from the player itself. You cannot see that, except the win rate. If he has like a catastrophist win rate in Soul Shuffle, for example, 30%, then you would kind of know, look, he loses like all his lobbies pretty much. That's the only indication you can have, but you don't have an indication on what spells he uses. You have no indication on how well he does. You don't have no indication on if he dies or if he survives damage. You have no indication as a whole, just how he performs. And that's the sad part. People are actually looking at check PvPs from other players and saying, but you never reached that, or but you never reached that, or you never reached that. Well, it feels like super hypocritical from those players, because it has no indication on someone being good or someone being bad. I could take anyone, really. I can take even him. Of course, like, he is meh, so he's quite good, of course. I'm going to click on just a random one. For example, Yoru, I don't even know. He's a glad player from the looks of it. For example, I'm going to take anyone, really. I'm going to try to take anyone. So, for example, this one, he's a rival player. He does RBGs. You see, he's a lot of games in RBGs. He got a high rating for an RBG player, to be honest. He has 2s. He plays a lot of 2s. He doesn't play 3s, and he plays mostly Guardian Druid. Okay. How can you judge this player, for example? Again, I don't know this guy, right? How can you judge this player being better than rival 2 or not? right? You cannot see like how he performs in RPGs. Does he get carried in RPGs? Does he get carried in twos? Does it get carried in soul shuffle by his spec, or does he just play like for the 3-3 and sometimes he loses and that's why he has some like 47% win rate? You cannot judge that player by just checking check PvP. You cannot say, look, he is a bad player. No, he's just a Garden Druid. Garden Druid is just bad in Soul Shuffle. And in RPGs, you cannot even know if he got carried by a team or if he just is the team. Like, he is making the teams and he trying to get as high as possible with his guild, for example. So that's my example of World of Warcraft, where I feel like it's very hypocritical of people to like tunnel vision into those stats, which I think is very meaningless. I'm going to give you another example. Let's do Venruki, for example. Everyone knows Venruki, right? Venruki is a fantastic player. We all know that. He makes content on YouTube. He is a really good player, in my opinion. He is like rank 1 in Frost Mage right now. He plays a lot of Arcane. He plays a bit of Fire Mage. But I think a lot of people realize Fire Mage in Social is a miserable experience. He does 2s. He does sometimes on RPG. And he does 3s and 2s, pretty much. So you see he has a lot of win rate. So how can you compare him with, let's say, Raikou? For example, Raikou. How can you compare him with him? What's the indication of someone being better than the other one? Except the rating and the CR, right? Like, he's 2700, like he has more win rate, like a 2800 actually. He has more win rate on Arcane. He has less CR than Venruki on Frost Mage. Does it mean that he's worse on Frost Mage than Venruki? What does Raikou do that Venruki doesn't do? What does Venruki better than Raikou right now on, let's say, Frost Mage? What does he do better on 2s? Does he play just more 2s than Raikou? Probably, because he only plays like 36 games. What's the indication of being like of someone being better than another? You just miss too much information from external websites that you cannot really know if someone is good or not. So judging on someone purely on a rating is, I think, bollocks in general. But also, right now, I'm not going to say him because let's be honest, like he's not the one that is going to be carried. But let's say him. I don't know who he is, whatever. Imagine he has 2.4k in 3s. We don't know who he is, right? He could be carried by someone. He could have bought a carry. But you do not know. You do actually not know if he actually bought a carry or not. You don't know if he actually got piloted or not. You don't actually know if he has great teammates or bad teammates. You don't know if he is the carry. You don't know that. There is no information. And that's the thing that really bugs me. That they should add more API to the game. And I think with, Radar.io, they have information in PvE. I don't know how they could actually implement it in PvP, but that would be actually very nice to have, because again, you don't know if that guy progressed because of like inflation or deflation, or if he really progressed inside the game. Like, does he do more damage in general? How does he do damage? Did he change his playstyle? Did he change anything to become a better player? You don't know that from just looking at statistics. He got Glad in Season 3, for example, from Shadowlands, but he never got Glad again from Dragonflight. So how can you know if someone plays worse or better from past expansions or right now, for example? So that's again me trying to talk about what's wrong about World of Warcraft and what's the difference with League of Legends. In League of Legends, this is a website, UGG. You have also OPGG. You have other websites that are actually very useful. And you have it for the Valorant. World of Warcraft, you also have it, but I don't know how much information you have. I think you don't really have purely like great information. You have like some tier lists and such, but that's all. But in League of Legends, for example, if you type my character, for example, I'm going to go for EU West. This is me. So I didn't play too much. So this is me. I played like top 60 matches. I got like 53% win rate. I have like 80% on Mordekaiser, for example. And how can you know if someone is doing bad or good in a specific lobby? Well, you can just open a lobby. For example, you can open this one, the Kale one that I did. Of course, it's a lobby where I did good, but you can see how I did good. It's a 15 minutes game in a 131 CS, which is a 8.3 per minute, which is not that bad at this elo. I have a 9 KDA game where I did like destroy the top lane and the jungler, for example. I did that amount of damage, I got that amount of gold, I did 5 wards. You see all the information from just a website. The API gives you the information and you actually know if someone played worse or good over time. You can see also a game where I did bad, for example, this one. I did like a 7 CS per minute, which is, I think it's still fine for a 24-minute game, whatever. I have a 0.63 KDA, 4 vision, only 1 ward, so that's a bad game for me for vision, for example. In general, you can see if someone is doing good or not based on that information, and you can see how he did his performances. For example, you can see his KDA, his damage, gold, ward, CS, his amount of kills, item builds. Is it the correct item builds? Did I build correctly KL, for example, for that match? The timeline. You can see when the kills occurred and how it went downhill, for example. And then metrics, you can see also how it went well for goals or damage, like over time. How was it? Like, did I poke a lot? Did I actually do nothing at early and then all the damage from late, for example? You can just compare them, right? You can compare Yi, for example. If you compare Yi, you can see at the start, he did a lot of ganking, so you see that his damage was really high at the start. And then he just spiked because of being just overly strong, because of being like fed. And you can see that with also the post game, for example, having a 15 KDA. So you have a lot of information. You as a World of Warcraft player, if you haven't played League of Legends, for you it's like gibberish, it's Chinese, it's something you cannot understand. I understand that. But do you understand the difference between those two websites? And it's not like Czech PvP doesn't want to show you guys the information. That's not the case. The case is World of Warcraft doesn't leave you the API big enough, I would say, to have the information served towards different websites, towards the players. And that's something they should work on, in my opinion. I think also for PvE, but I think for PvP it's very important. How can you know if someone performs very well in a match? Like for Frost Mage, for example. Is it based on CC? Is it based on damage? Is it based on how they survive? How they're using their CDs? How they make small leads by making the people use their trinkets, for example? Do they route to the pets, for example, from a PM Hunter, which results to the PM Hunter doing less damage? Like all these things, you cannot know that from a Czech PvP or from a Drustvar or from any website you can actually currently see for World of Warcraft. And the only metric you can see is live gameplay from streams, from YouTube channels, and whatever is actually you can be shown to the public, right? But again, there is no indication for you as a player, as someone that doesn't make content. You cannot know if you progress through the time, except your own indication on, look, I want CR over time, so I must be better. Or is it because of inflation? So you see, that's something I kind of despise on World of Warcraft, and I feel like the community is also at fault at that, because let's be honest, you're using the only thing that you can actually see, which is CR and MMR. And I understand that you can use that. I understand that people can use that versus you. And I understand that you can also use that versus other people. You can say, look, you have to show me an achievement to get into the group. For example, RBGs, those are like the worst of the worst. Like they ask you achievements, and you can give an achievement from Walls of Draenor, and they would just accept you way better than someone that has no achievement or didn't play Walls of Draenor, didn't get the achievement, for example. So you see, it's something very gatekeepy, which doesn't need to be in World of Warcraft. I feel like it kind of hampers on the fact that it will not grow. The game will not grow if people use statistics which are meaningless, because again, I'm going to say it's meaningless versus you. If someone says to you, but you're 1600, but you only have played 20 games and you are overall 60% win rate, it's stupid, because it just means that you have to play more. Or in threes, for example, if you play with friends and you play only with friends and those friends are not like very good, or those friends are playing multiple classes and multiple specs, they want to just fuck around and find out pretty much. Do you understand how dumb it is to actually like compare those CR MMRs towards other players, because it is not the same goal, right? But that's my opinion. Again, this is, you can see it as a rant video. For me, it's not a rant video. It's more of a feedback video and more of a eye-opening thing. Like, stop using CR MMR as the only metric of someone being good or bad. I think in general, in 2.3s, I never ask CR MMR. Never. I just see, look, I'm 1800 currently. I would like to play with an 1800 player like CR wise, because I don't want to ruin my own MMR by losing, right? That's the only reason. But I'm not going to ask for past achievements. I'm never going to ask, did you go legend in season 1? Did you go elite in season 1? Because I don't care. I just want to see, look, I'm going to invite you. If I feel like you're doing good, I'm going to keep on playing. If I feel like you're doing bad, I'm going to give you feedback. Depending on how you get that feedback, and depending on how we play the games afterwards, we're going to keep playing, or we're not going to keep playing. But that's purely like the logical thing to do in World of Warcraft. Playing with people and see for yourself if they are like a good fit for your team or they're not a good fit for your team. But like judging purely because you typed a name on check PvP or because you ask an achievement that is just not available for that player feels super dumb. First and foremost, they could have that achievement with you. They could achieve the goal that you asked them to achieve with you, but you decided to say, look, you have to be experienced. But what is experience at the end? It depends on inflation, it depends on deflation, it depends on when you actually achieve that achievement. Was it at the start of the season or at the end of the season? Are you actually a good player, or are you just carried by other people? Are you lucky because you actually got carried by your class? Or are you actually very good and very proficient, but you never really pushed because you never really got the opportunity to do that? And I feel like a lot of people should realize that. And I know I've had multiple conversations with multiple people that actually experienced that, like that gatekeeping feeling from the LFG, and that's why we have solo shuffle right now. And then people, they hate solo shuffle for some reason. I think it's because of queue times and how the MMR works and how punishing it is to lose. But in general, we only get what we deserve right now. And if we actually change our mentalities, we could make LFG way better, and we could make also solo shuffle way better at the same time. But everyone has to work for it, but also Blizzard as well. And I think also the API, it needs to be released to the website, so you could actually have way more stats. Like, for example, this website has currently, you can see way more with the information that you can have, and you also have on the launcher, you also have the same information, right? You could click on one game and you can see the stats from that game. You can see way more from in-game than in UGG, for example. But anyways, this was my video. Hopefully you did enjoy the video, did learn something. If you didn't play League of Legends before, or if you never played it or whatever, I would strongly actually try it. And you could see what a competitive game could be. Again, if you are a gold player, you're not going to get like compared to a challenger. But for some reason, if you are a rival player, you're going to get compared by a Glad, which is, I think, very dumb. And that's something I want to take away from the video. I think if you're a rival player, there is no way in hell actually that someone compares you with a Glad. It's really dumb. Not everyone can be Glad because it's a 1% thing, right? Normally, if everyone can get Glad doesn't mean anything pretty much. But it's a 1% thing normally, while rivals, for example, 15%. So you should realize that not everyone can be in the 1%, and not everyone aspires to be in 1%. But people should stop comparing themselves with the top 1%. I think the game would be way better. Nobody's comparing like a plat player with a challenger player from League of Legends. It just is what it is. You want to be challenger, but you're never going to compare yourself to a challenger player because you don't have the stats to show that you're going to be compared to that player. But that's my opinion. I think a lot of people would disagree with me, which is fine. We can talk about it in the comment section below. But I think I make sense. I think it's normal, and I think it would be healthy for the game to actually see some progress towards that. But that's my opinion again. Again, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Be sure to stay safe. We will catch you probably very soon in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.